first, let's just put the free trade agreement into perspective. According to WTO rules, if there were no trade agreement, then the ordinary WTO rules would apply, which means that the European Union would apply the same tariff, impose the same tariff on Israeli goods that we already applied to American, Chinese, Australian products from New Zealand and so forth. But according to some exceptions in the treaties, you can enter into free trade agreements, and you can create customs unions, and then the parties to these agreements actually abolish all the tariffs on all products as within their own territory, so to speak. Which means that not only are we have a free trade agreement with Israel, but we are in fact actually giving them preferential treatment, more preferential treatment than we do with Australian goods, for example, goods from New Zealand, from the US, and so forth. And that, I find, is what really worries me, because we're not just simply happening to do trade with Israel, we are in fact favouring Israel more than we are favouring Australia, US, and so forth, who are not, in Australia's case at least, that is not actually violating international law on a daily basis like Israel is. The EU has actually become complicit in Israel's crimes. So instead of contributing to Israel's crimes, I think it's really important to assume the responsibility to protect, which is the title of this seminar. And by suspending the association agreement, which is a free trade agreement too, by suspending that agreement, the EU can try to put pressure on Israel, mild pressure, but still some pressure. And as we all know, outside pressure is really necessary because Israel ignores mere words. And not only that, Israel actually defies anything we say, any condemnation we ever make. They just ignore it. So, as for the contradiction I mentioned, is there a contradiction in saying that I believe in free trade and I believe that the free trade agreement should be suspended? Of course there isn't. I'm a liberal and I'm in favour of personal freedom, but I also think that if people commit crimes, you should lock them up. There's nothing strange about that, and likewise the EU should suspend the association agreement with Israel. And as I mentioned earlier, suspending the agreement would put Israel on par with the US, with Australia and other countries. It's not a particularly harsh measure. It's mainly a political measure that just serves to emphasize that we look at these things seriously. But it's not really a harsh measure that will severely damage Israel. As Jens mentioned earlier, it was not until the year 2000 that there actually wasn't an association agreement between the EU and Israel. Somehow Israel managed to survive before that. They will survive after that as well. So it's not really a very harsh measure. And besides, as a liberal, one of my core liberal values is the rule of law, and apparently Israel does not respect the rule of law as regards international law, which is another very important reason to take measures. So in conclusion, sanctions are a peaceful, non-violent way of upholding international law. The situation is urgent, as other speakers have pointed out, but not only that. I think there's a window of opportunity. The tide is turning, and I think opinion is actually turning against Israel. The Palestinians are more and more moving towards non-violent resistance. I think now is the time to act. Now we can actually change something for the future. Thank you very much.